Here are 4 things that I've discovered, the key things that you need to know if you're moving from the United States to the UK. The language is technically the same, but the communication, very different. Now, there is this thing I believe in called American English versus British English, because there's a lot of words that mean something different here in the UK. I know a lot of British people specifically will fight me on that, but it is very true. And I have had this statement corroborated by many British people who live in the United States or have lived in the United States for a significant period of time. So I stand by it. But in any event, here in the UK, it's not just that, one word could have 12 different meanings, which is a completely opposite meaning of anything else you have in the US. Here it's also about tone, inflection, reading between the lines, cultural references. Basically, context is everything here in the UK. So make sure you're paying really close attention or you're going to get left out. The second thing you need to understand is that sarcasm here in the UK, British sarcasm, is essential for survival. Can't get around it. There's no way. Trust me, I've tried. It's not going to happen. British humor is also part of this. It's essential for survival. And it's based mainly on self-deprecation and taking the piss out of each other, basically. You cannot take yourself too seriously here in the UK. You will be called out on it by a British person, probably more than one, especially if they're in your private circle or your social orbit. Also, a key point worth noting, if a British person is taking the piss, aka making fun of you, having a laugh with you, it means they like you. If they're being overly polite, it means either they don't feel comfortable with you yet or they don't like you at all. Take it as you need it. You have been forewarned, folks. Grocery shopping here in the UK. What a completely different experience than grocery shopping in the United States. Of course, you have to note that most of the stores are much smaller than you would have grocery stores in the US. Obviously, you'd have the challenges of finding certain brands and not as much choice. And I put that in quotes because I think that the choice in the US is a little bit overblown and fabricated because there's really only 4 or so food companies in the US. And they own most of the brands. So they may have 6 or 7 brands under there. So it looks like choice, but it's really the same company making a decision. Anyway, grocery shopping in the UK. The biggest culture shock I've had personally is being an American here in the UK. When it comes to grocery shopping, it's the expiration dates. The expiration dates here in the UK actually mean something. When they say it's going to expire on a certain date, it's going to expire on that date. There's no ways about it. There's no prolonging it, really. Partially because there's not nearly as many chemicals and preservatives pumped into the food here. Partially because they don't have to, because it's a smaller country and a smaller region, I should say, and the transportation is not nearly as difficult or cumbersome. But also, they just have better food standards here, to be honest. Also, for most people, what we call buying in bulk in the US doesn't really exist here in the UK. Mainly because most kitchens don't have that much storage. The refrigerators are much smaller. And pantries, if you do have them, definitely smaller than what we have in the US. Let's talk bags. So yeah, in the United States, you're used to getting your groceries packed up into a bag by the teller, the person checking you out, and being able to take those bags home. Here in the UK, slightly different experience. Number 1, they're scanning your items. They're not bagging them. Number 2, you usually have to bring your own bags. They are very big on conservation here in the UK. And which means most people bring their own bags, their reusable bags and stuff. Of course, they do have bags available at the store if you need it, but you will have to pay for them. Even those plastic bags that you would use like for your garbage can in the bathroom. No free bags here in the UK. One thing about living here in the UK that I've noticed after 3.5 years, you will be a tourist. You will always be a tourist. Well, I don't know if always, but you will always be seen from the outside as a tourist. I moved from the United States here to the UK 3.5 years ago, and people still look at me as though I just got off the boat, so to speak. Even though I feel much more comfortable here than I did when we first landed, I feel like I have a better understanding, but not only am I looked at from the outside as a foreigner, and probably always will be, I always kind of feel a little foreign, even in my most comfortable moments, because every single day, and I'm not lying and not exaggerating, every single day I learn something new about England, Scotland, or Wales, the history of the British Empire, the history of my local town, why people see things a certain way, why this is significant, why British people do this, or a word or phrase I'd never heard before. So I've just resigned to the fact that I will just forever be a tourist. I suck it up. I suppose there are some perks, right, to being a tourist, being seen that way. little less responsibility to know everything. You kind of have a get out of jail free card. It's funny. My partner, when we lived in the United States, my British partner used to use that all the time. I'm English. I don't know how the tables have turned.